Um, and thank you everyone for being here. It's quite an honor. I don't consider myself a poet. This is the first time I'm reading my poetry in public. So it's quite a pleasure to be amongst such incredible poets. I'm based in Oxford at the moment. I'm South African and Kenyan, so I'm really missing the sun. And so I guess poetry for me is a way of getting some sunshine in a sense, and a way of me reaching out to people that I really care about, who many of whom are in South Africa and in Kenya, but also across the continent indeed. I'll be reading two poems today, but I wanted to say just a few words about the kinds of ideas that have shaped the poems I will read today. The first is this idea of bodies of water. I'm always thinking about bodies of water, I mean, primarily in two ways. Firstly, in a material sense, thinking about places like the Mediterranean Sea and all the living beings that live within that sea. But I also think of us as human beings, as bodies of water, because we're primarily composed of water ourselves. And I also think about how, we're not discrete entities, in the sense of how Western logics might suggest that we are, that we're actually porous, we're constantly drinking, we're urinating, we're sweating, we're weeping. So we're always in a way relating to the world in this kind of fluid embodiment, if you will. And so in my poems, I think of human beings as bodies of water, and I think about deaths at sea and the kind of currents that those deaths bring to the sea. And so I often write about how these currents, they bear the weight of coloniality, but they also carry the buoyance of resistance, of imagination. And I often think about these currents that are, in a way, always insisting on showing other ways of acting in the world. Something else I've been thinking about a lot is cruelty, this notion of cruelty, especially how it seems as though, certain societies take pleasure in public spectacles of violence. And so I try to give shape to that cruelty through my poems in a way that resonates with the kind of relentless and preventable suffering that I feel that I'm seeing in many places, and certainly in the African continent. Okay, I think I'll read my poems now. They're fairly short. The first one is called Knotted Bodies of Water. How do we map Black death? Black Africa, Black Atlantic, Black Pacific, Black Mediterranean. Time bends back upon itself, stretching into the ongoingness of ordinary atrocities. For the Black African, time unfolds as violence. Again, in and through, the violence time unfolds layers of bodies, spectacle lynchings as drownings. How do we map the wounds that remain? What crooked lines do these remains make on the seabed haunted by the silence of the dead? Knotted bodies of water, holding each other in something other than damage. That's the first poem. The second poem is called Strange Fish. He swam in the glare of the sun in the depths of our deep blue sea, scrambling, heaving, sinking, washed up. They killed him, by the ships that abandon in their sea that swallows, scrambling, heaving, gasping, drifting, surrounded by strange fish, washed up. They killed him, I said, all of them, in broad daylight on sunny European beaches, faceless, nameless, unnamed, forgettable, forgotten, unmournable. They killed us again and again, 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 and again, and again. Strange fish rotting in their sea. Thank you.
Yes.